So I decided to test ChatGPT, which, if you don't know about it, basically it's an AI that's come out from OpenAI. It's kind of like what DALL-E was for drawing. It is that for dialogue, and people have been using it for all kinds of things, saying they can write essays for you, answer all your problems, answer all your questions, and basically saying that this is the end of pretty much all human ability, all human jobs, because ChatGPT can do anything. So I decided I was going to test that out, and I'm going to do so using sports. I think that provided me a great avenue with which to test because the statistics are very easily verifiable, but I can still ask it to parcel out information and organize it and truly understand what it's looking at and do something that a human could do very easily, but for a computer might be a little bit more difficult. So I began with something simple. I asked it how many points per game did LeBron James average in 2008, and to this it answered it perfectly accurately, which is good, very simple. Google Assistant could easily do that. There's really no new technology being exhibited there. Then I asked it a question that would require a little bit more analyzation, but a human could answer very easily. So as you can see, I asked, how many times has Joe Flacco thrown for 4,000 yards in his career? As a human being, all you do is Google it, you look it up, you look at all every year, and you just add up how many times he threw for over 4,000. It's quite simple, very easy for a human to do, but requires a certain amount of steps for the AI. It has to look at all the data, recognize the difference between the years, recognize if it's over 4,000, and then tally that up. Its response was quite thorough. It said Joe Flacco is a former NFL quarterback who played for the Baltimore Ravens, Denver Broncos, New York Jets, all true. In his 13 seasons in the league, he passed for over 4,000 yards in a season 5 times. His best season was in 2014 when he passed for a career high 4,317 yards. The cool thing about this is not only did it provide me with the answer, but also provided me with a little bit more detail, recognizing when the best season was, what teams he played for, and just embellishing from what I asked it originally, which is very impressive. The only issue with this is that it's wrong. Joe Flacco has only thrown for over 4,000 yards once in his career. As you can see here, this is a screenshot of pretty much every single season. I think it's missing only one. But if you look over here, this is the column where all the total yards for a season are calculated. And all we gotta do is look through it. Okay, 1 year, 2016. So that was his high, not 2014. And we can also clearly see he never threw for 4,000 yards again. So ChatGPT gave me a very, very misleading response. It was very thorough, very detailed. To someone who didn't know Joe Flacco's career, to someone who didn't bother to look it up themselves, they would think this was a very, very real answer. It's very believable. So I decided to test it with something else, something that wasn't sports related. I decided to test its mental capacity. And I tested it with a really classical riddle that a lot of people get caught up on, but understand the logic of it. So I wanted to see how it would do. So I said to ChatGPT, answer this hypothetical. John is 4 years old. He has a little brother named Mark, who is half John's age. When John is 100, how old will Mark be? I don't really understand how to read what the calculations that it made, but its answer was that so when John is 100, Mark will be 50 years old. This is wrong, and this is the classic mistake that people make all the time with this riddle. They think half the age, so 100, what's half of 100? Half of 100 is 50. The mistake that they make is that if John is 4 years old and twice as old as his younger brother is 2 years old, which means that Mark is only 2 years older than his brother. So when I asked about how old is Mark when John is 100, instead of calculating half of John's age, what it should have done is gone 2 years younger. But it got caught up, it did not answer it correctly. This really goes into what ChatGPT was really designed to do, and that is to sound like a human. It has not been designed, from my understanding, to give you calculated, detailed, accurate responses. What it's being trained on is to sound human, to sound like it knows what it's talking about. But if you are using this as your fact checker to replace Google, the technology simply is not there yet.